BBC Introducing Berkshire.
New and unsigned music with Linda Serck. And he is a man simply known as Bones. Hello, Bones.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good, thank you. Not only are you a musician, but you're a gig promoter. You've got the gift of the gab. You're always talking and mingling and networking.
Something like that,
you've got some, lots of fingers and lots of pies. And of course, we need to mention the beard because on radio you can't see what a lovely, long, lustrous beard you have.
I can rub it up against the mic, but it doesn't know this.
We're here to talk about your new band, your new rock band, funnily enough. And in fact, you've described it yourself, and I need to read this out really. It's like a half-submerged man slowly crawling onto dry land, not yet completely visible, dragging behind him all that he has experienced and known, thick with mud, drenched with sweat, feral but subdued, waiting for the moment to drag you down.
Wow.
These are words of poetry. So yes, tell us about Morass of Molasses, the name of your new band.
Right, okay, well, basically it's very new. It started, the first time we played a note together was back in only March, really. So it's just really 6 months from our first note to now our first gig. And it's been kind of a bit of a whirlwind, really. It's just 3 guys in a rehearsal room bashing it out, trying to find some songs and trying to find what we sound like, I think, more importantly.
Well, you've also described Morass of Molasses as born in the swamp to the voodoo thump.
Yeah.
Which is another very expressive way to describe your music.
Yeah, I mean, when we started out, when I was first speaking to the guys, I wanted to kind of set the scene, I guess, a little bit. And when I was sort of talking about the kind of music I wanted to play, I did say, imagine a swamp. And I think that actually helped, because I think like kind of evocative things like that and like imagery, even though you're writing sound, it helps you to kind of get ideas of where you're going with things. And it's kind of, there's blues in there, so there's a bit of a sort of a southern sound going on, but there's also heavy moments as well.
The plan is that on the 18th of September, which is when we recorded this show, in the evening of, you will be playing your debut show at the Oakford Social Club.
It's all very, very cool. I kind of, I'm really looking forward to it actually, because the Oakford's a cool place to play because you kind of, well, it's free, so loads of people will go along because it's free, but also you get lots of just people, random people walking in and checking out your music.
Absolutely.
And I love it because of that.
And you have, of course, a rich musical history yourself. I mean, this isn't the first band you've been in by any stretch of the imagination. So can you tell us a bit about your musical history, how you started out?
The last one was obviously Carnate, and that's probably the most significant band that I've been in. And that was, I would say, the band where I learned almost everything that I'm putting into action now with this new band. And although Carnate is on hiatus, it'll never truly die, I don't think.
No, never.
I think, and even if it's just the ethos of what it was. I mean, I'm also, as well as this new band, Morass Of Molasses, I'm also still in a band with Kirst out of Carnate, the lead singer, a band called Baby Jane's Baby, which is kind of like, I guess it's, if you imagine Carnate dividing into two and the sort of the heavy blues rock side of it going into Morass Of Molasses and then the more theatrical performance side of it, we're looking to put on a show, basically. And
like a cabaret type.
Yeah, well, there's going to be elements of that in it. Yeah, definitely. It's we're going to take our time about it, but rest assured you'll know when it's hit the scene.
I'm sure, because if anyone's seen Kirst perform, she's a smouldering front woman.
Exactly, and some of this
takes no prisoners, shall we say.
Yeah, some of this new stuff we're writing for Baby Jane's Baby as well is some of the best stuff she's ever written, so it's really good.
Superb. Well, we're about to hear the new track by Morass Of Molasses called Rotten Teeth, and again a very evocative song title. So how did you come up with the song? What's the inspiration? Surely not actual rotten teeth.
Well, in a way it could be, I suppose. I mean, to be honest with you, this often happens when you start a band, is the band name and the idea behind the band name and the first song that we wrote, which is Rotten Teeth, are intrinsically linked. Right. Because Morass Of Molasses comes from an article that I read on Wired, which is about a disaster that happened in Boston in 1919, where these massive tanks of molasses exploded, and there was a tidal wave of molasses going through Boston. This is actually true.
I don't believe it.
A tidal wave, and almost 100 people, I think, almost drowned. They drowned in molasses.
No.
And it was when I read about this thing, I was like, that's just crazy that kind of something like that happened. And at the time I was trying to find what I was as a songwriter in this band, and this is before the band even had a name. I was trying to work out how I wrote songs and what did I write songs about, and I thought that would be kind of, in a twisted kind of way, that'd be kind of a cool thing to write a song about. And so I kind of wrote a song about this thing that happened in Boston, and that's where we got the band name from, Morass of Molasses, because the actual title of the article is Morass of Molasses.
So
it's completely where I got it from.
I didn't dare ask where you got the name from, but it's a really interesting story. Yeah. And morass, of course, is another word for swamp.
Yeah, exactly. It's all linked.
And so, yes, swampy music. So great.
Yeah, and the song Rotten Teeth is obviously a reference to swallowing a lot of molasses, obviously.
Oh, I see. It's all coming together.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk shortly afterwards, but this is Morass of Molasses on BBC Introducing Berkshire. This is the world premiere of Rotten Teeth. Whoa, that was fantastic. That was Morass of Molasses. The first time anyone has ever heard that song on the radio. That
Indeed.
was Rotten Teeth. We've got the frontman Bones in the studio, but you're not, of course, as we said before, the frontman of Morass of Molasses. You also do lots of gig promoting work.
Indeed.
And I guess, all the years you've spent listening to bands, listening to demos, putting them on for the live shows, you must know what works, what doesn't work music-wise, and performance-wise as well.
Well, I think you never completely know what works 100%, but you do start to know what doesn't work. So that is the more important thing.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of, I guess I get to have the benefit of seeing a hell of a lot of bands, and some really good bands, and some bands that need a bit of work, and you get to you add all those things up in your head, I guess, and it all helps in the long run. And also I like to pass it on as well. I like I'm always there if bands ever it sounds really patronising, but if bands ever do want advice, I'm always prepared to give it to people.
Absolutely. Of course, you give it quite a lot when you're the judge on the demo panel. Indeed. On the show as well.
Indeed.
And so yes, you run Wicked Boy promotions, and you put on lots of great gigs at the Face Bar and other venues,
and the university as well.
And the university, of course, not forgetting the University of Reading, White Knights campus. And so you tend to put on bands that have like a harder element to them sound wise, or do you put on all sorts of bands?
No, actually my reputation is for putting on pretty much anyone, quite diverse bills. I think you need to, and I think there can be a metal promoter, and I think the Face Bar, one of the places I promote the most, already has one. So XL Promotions, a guy called Ivor does the promotions there, and he tends to put on a lot of the heavier bands, and I tend to put on, because I put on quite a few gigs there, I tend to put on a lot of different diverse acts actually. So
and also sort of underage bands as well, so they have a chance to play.
Indeed.
And you have matinee shows at the Face Bar, which is fantastic, because for me, bands seem to be getting younger and younger every time I listen to tracks being sent to me, and I read their bio, and they're 14 years old, they're 15 years old.
It is crazy.
And of course lots of venues won't let them in because they're underage, but you put on gig nights or gig days really, especially for them.
And the good thing is then actually is when you see a band progress. So you see a band that's started out playing the matinee shows and then ends up playing the Friday night shows, and that's really nice. Yeah, to see a band kind of
must
evolve.
Have a paternal feel towards them almost.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very sweet. And you also mentioned off air that you're thinking of setting up a promoters collective.
Yeah, I'm trying to. It was actually a DJ that I know, DJ Beastie. It was his idea,
right? And
he kind of wanted, just saw that there was a lot of clashes going on with gigs and with other promoters, and sort of suggested the idea of us all getting together, and I'm just sort of helping him out to kind of make that a reality. I guess.
See. So you're talking about bands playing a bit too frequently, but in different venues.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Mainly it's about communication. That's all it boils down to. It boils down to promoters actually talking to each other, and I'm a believer in that there are enough bands out there, or there are enough people that want to go to the gigs. It's not necessarily competition. I think if we all kind of work together, I think it can actually be quite an easier ride for all of us, really, to be honest with you. And also it's the places inevitably that you're doing gigs at, the venues, they need to make a certain amount of money across the bar, and that usually tends to happen when there are more people in there.
Of course,
and so if you're not bringing the people in, then you also risk losing the venue that you're promoting at.
And another thing that you do, because as I said, you're a man with many hats on, you do a bit of A&R for the White House Studios in Reading, which is where you recorded Rotten Teeth.
Yeah, we recorded that with Matt there, and he's a great producer. He has got the perfect balance between pushing you as far as you possibly can go, but doing it in the nicest possible way. He was great, and he worked really hard on that track, and helped us evolve our sound as a band, because we're so new that you don't know what you sound like yet, and it's and so he really helped out, and Alex also was a great engineer as well, so they both helped out really loads.
Lovely. So that's the White House Studios. Matt View, actually, he used to be a demo panel judge on my show as well. Must get him back on.
Yeah, you should.
And so do you spot a lot of talent then when you're A&R scouting?
There's a band called the Hicksons, which I've been looking at recently, who have got loads of potential. And another band who are completely the opposite end of the scale, called Victorian Whore Dogs, who I absolutely love as well. They're just crazy.
And if people are jumping up and down, where can people get in touch with you?
Well, to be honest with you, Facebook is the easiest way. And if you search for Bones the Beard, on Facebook, you'll find me. But if you want to search for something specifically to do with Morass of Molasses, then just type in Morass of Molasses.
Morass of Molasses.
Yeah.
And so, thank you so much for coming into the studio.
It's always a pleasure, Linda.
Always a pleasure for me as well. Check out Morass of Molasses on Facebook. Great tune. Let's hope we hear more from you soon.
Okay, cheers. Bye.
Introducing